I've been fascinated by speedrunning for years, watching someone game a game well enough to beat the game in times many would have assumed impossible. Elden Ring in 20 minutes, Breath of the Wild in 25 minutes. Some use glitches, some don't, but either way, through technical know-how, precise inputs, and ever-evolving routes, speedrunners continue to push the bounds of what is possible in a game. So I thought, maybe I could learn to speedrun something. But a normal speedrunner will learn the route, practice skips, and do run after run to get their times as low as possible. But I'm lazy. I don't want to do that. No, that is not for me. But what if I did a speedrun anyway? Instead of working really hard and actually learning a run, what if I only did one speedrun? And as you figured out from the title of this video, what if it was a game I'd never even played before? So, with that bad idea stuck in my head, I set to put this in motion. First obstacle was obvious, deciding on a game. If I'm going to speedrun a game I've never played, I need to set some criteria. So, I decided on 3 criteria that any such game would need to meet. 1. The game needs to be relatively popular. Probably the least important, but I might as well maximize the chance anyone actually watches this. Plus, being popular means more speedrunning resources for me to review before I start. 2. The speedrun needs to be relatively short, like under an hour. Not knowing the routing for the game, how to do any of the skips, or even the basic controls are going to make this take a bit longer than a competitive run. And 3. The speedrun needs to be interesting. Interesting skips, interesting glitches, needs to be fun to watch, and interesting to learn. If I'm not interested in learning it, no one is going to be interested in watching. So, with these criteria, I considered all of the games I've never played, which it turns out is a lot. There's a lot of games out there, but one kept coming back to me. Super Mario Odyssey. A masterpiece of design and a showcase of all the fun a platformer can be. A grand, colorful world with fluid controls and a charming aesthetic. Or so I'd heard. A quick check confirmed the speedrun was right at the edge of my limit. Just under an hour. And, most importantly, I'd never played it. I have vague memories of playing little bits of the 2D Marios years and years ago, but I haven't played any of them seriously, and I've never even touched any of the 3D incarnations before. So, with the perfect game for this dropped in my lap, I got to work. And by work, I mean figuring out how to do any of this. First, recording a console game means I need a way to capture footage, which I absolutely did not own. Also, audio quality is important, and I don't own a halfway decent microphone. One quick trip to the store and I was set. Once my ailing brain figured out how to hook up this shit, seriously, it is 5 o'clock on a Friday, it has 2 ports, you're an idiot. Then I need to figure out how to record the footage, not record the footage, how to record footage. Fortunately, the internet exists, so I sorted that out and had some good ideas for editing the video. Next is the actual prep work a normal person who already has the basic knowledge and technology to do this would do. Figure out the run. Item 1. I need some rules. I can't just boot up the game, press start, and play fast. Speedrunning and playing fast are not the same thing. So, after some careful deliberation, I decided on the rules for this challenge, I guess. 1. I will watch speedruns and explanation of the various trips and skips used in the any % world record. Oh, also I'm doing any %, which just means get to the credits, completion be damned. I will take notes and set up splits in advance of starting the game. Setting up splits actually end up being a whole thing. Pro tip, if you're setting up live split, just watch the tutorial. Do not put the tutorial on in the background and not pay attention to it. That will waste an hour and a half of your time. 2. Once I start the game, I have to rely on my notes and memory and nothing else. No quick look at a how-to, no pulling up the speedrun on my phone. Nope. Once the game starts, I am on my own. 3. I have to complete the skips a beginning speedrunner needs to be able to do. I was originally going to try and do all the skips in the 88% world record, but then I watched it, got a headache, and took a nap. So beginner shit is all you're getting. With technology and rule sets in place, it was time for the next part. Watching way too many Super Mario Odyssey speedruns and tutorials. So I sat down and started gorging myself on the many, many tutorials walking you through the process of speedrunning this game. Some were helpful, others less so, but I quickly came upon the first actual concern I had about this. 1 hour in speedrunning time is a lot. Like a lot. You need over 100 moons to complete the speedrun. Some are easy, some are not. So, the first real problem was going to be just remembering the route. I've never played this game, so I have no context for anything. Not just pulling off some challenging movement, I just mean knowing which direction to walk is going to be a challenge. Pro tip if you're going to speedrun Mario Odyssey, the compass exists. I will not make this realization in-game for a while. That being said, fortunately Mario Odyssey has a pretty nice delimiter of progress, moons. You need over 100, which means in an hour-long speedrun you're getting a moon every 30 seconds or so. So, I set up splits for every single moon, or multi-moon. Is this too many splits? Yes. Will I be changing it? No. From there, I typed up detailed-ish instructions on getting from each moon to the next moon, meaning each step of the run was nice, easy, and bite-sized. Will this solve the problem? We hope. With splits set up, technological hurdles overcome, all that was left was to do the dang thing. There's time to do a speedrun of Super Mario Odyssey, and just hope I can get through this alive. So I loaded up Mario Odyssey and the game started automatically. Okay, I reset back to the title screen real quick so I can change some settings. See, Mario Odyssey, like a lot of games with dialogue, actually has an optimal language setting for what gets you through the game the quickest. In Mario's case, that is simplified Chinese, which saves time over other languages. So I needed to go to the language settings and then change it to, I don't know which of these is simplified Chinese. Is it this one? So I debated how to proceed and ultimately just guessed the last option and hit start. And then I realized I didn't actually know which option on the title screen was new game because I can't read Chinese, so I switched it back to English, checked which option was new game, and then switched it back to Chinese so I could select new game. Great start. I took a few minutes to get to grips with the movement controls and then rolled forward and immediately fell off the edge, dying in the first world in under a minute of actual gameplay. Not great. Then I bonked a wall and took damage from the first enemy in the game, then struggled to figure out how to open the very first door. Took over a frog and tried but failed to do the optimal jumps to the exit. And then we play a game I like to call How Many Things Can I Run Into? Eventually, I get to the boss and realize I don't know how to dive, or the difference between throw cap and the jump button. So I die. I come back to it again and win, albeit after failing to do any of the actual speedrun strats. With the first boss down, I make my way to the first proper kingdom of the game, Cascade Kingdom. And I spent 10 minutes desperately trying to learn how to cap jump, which you are spared from because I forgot to record it, which is a great continuation of this mess. I reached a point where I was feeling pretty good about it, got the first moon and got the ship. After some struggles to do T-Rex skip, it was time for boss 2, which honestly went pretty well. My timing and cap throws were bad, but it is the second boss, so I didn't encounter any real difficulties. It's around this time that I will point out that in addition to having too many splits, I often forgot to do splits. So that's not going to be the most accurate, but that's okay. Finally, a quick run to get up the Cliff Moon, which takes longer than I'd hoped, mostly because I forgot that you can triple jump when you're turning. But with the first kingdom done, I was feeling pretty optimistic. I'd done some tricks, some skips, and I was on my way. Next was Sand Kingdom. And then we arrive at Sand Kingdom. And when I say Sand Kingdom nearly broke me, I want you to understand that I mean it. Any confidence I had in my ability to speedrun this game was destroyed, basically immediately. I mean, look at this footage. This isn't even a skip. I'm just trying to land on a parasol. And the parasol would only be the first and lesser of my two big struggles. But after trying and failing over and over and over again, I eventually got the first moon and the pipe moon, and then fell to the ground and had to get back up again. I'm watching back the footage of me trying to reliably jump across this very reasonable gap as live mic footage me is having a full breakdown. Eventually I get back over, kill the bird, grab the moon, and roll over to the dune. Then came the arch moon. When I say this moon nearly made me give up on this entire video, I am not exaggerating. After landing on the ice pillar immediately, it took nearly 20 minutes to get a single moon. But finally, eventually, I got it. I quickly jumped over and grabbed the quicksand moon, tried and failed to get up another ice block, and just went around for the easier strat. This let me break the crate and grab the next moon. At this point, I suppose I should probably explain how cap jumping works. Expert speedrunners make this move look so easy, but it does take practice. You have to throw the cap, hold ZR/LR long enough to start the ground pound, press the throw button again to dive, and release ZR/LR, but hold the button you dove with. If you mess it up, you'll ground pound, do nothing, or dive right through Cappy. And getting used to the button inputs and what to hold or release takes a while. By the end of this, I had a pretty good handle on it, but not at this point in the video. After a few tries not understanding the bullet bill mechanics, because again, I can't read Chinese, I managed to get the tall pillar moon. I get briefly lost, and then I find the trash moon. I hop over a wall, grab the moon hidden just under here, and then run up these stairs, drop down. I run a bullet bill into this block, grab the moon, then grab the bullet bill again, grab this moon on a pillar, and heads towards the poison, which I immediately fell into because I did bad and realized I forgot to grab the checkpoint I knew I'd need. So I go all the way back, taking the easy route this time. I mess up the trick again, and I still didn't grab the checkpoint. Finally, I come back, realize I've been misreading my notes, and manage to get the poison pillar moon, and immediately roll in the poison and die. Again. And again. Finally finding my way, I grab the cactus moon, grabbed bird moon, struggled to get the notes for note moon for some reason, but eventually I get that too. And with that, it's back to the Odyssey, and Sand Kingdom is finally, blessedly, done. It only took 46 minutes to do a world where the beginner route takes less than 5. Oh, this is bad. So, with my Nightmare Kingdom behind me, I land in Lake Kingdom. I briefly got confused and then grabbed the first moon of the level. Then I get to do my first ground cap jump over the wall. If you throw Cappy, hold the button, and run into him, you get a nice little bounce, which you can then combo with other movement tricks. I took over a zipper and grabbed Zipper Moon, for which the game gives me very undeserved applause. I briefly struggle with the swimming controls before capturing a fish and grab another moon. Then to the Lapras moon. Do a little twitch and grab another moon. I get up on the platform above in one try before I panic and rolled off. It took a few more tries, but then I was on my way. Then I got to the boss, which I fundamentally did not remember how to fight. It took a few tries, and I ended up just fighting him normally. Speedrunning strats be damned. My failure to grasp how to triple jump made this fight way harder than it needed to be. Then I succeeded at triple jump, but failed to aim? There's a drop shadow, you know where you're gonna fall. By the end of this, I'll have a pretty good idea at Mario's movements tech, but I will still never be very good at triple jumping or landing on things. Finally, the boss goes down, and that completed Lake Kingdom at a much less depressing 12 minutes. Next up, Wooded Kingdom. I missed the easy strat for diving into the bunny, so I had to chase it around a bit to get the first moon. I struggled so hard to learn how to pick up a rock that I ended up just breaking it and grabbed the moon. Seriously, how do you pick things up in this game? You just hold the wood. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I then went over and stomped a capitalist for a few seconds by mistake. Apparently, that is one thing I can land on. But then I bought the capitalism moon. I jumped up a waterfall and congratulated myself on a good skip right before I rolled into a wall. Do a little jump up, and I bust my first nut of the run. Cappy grabbed this switch, run through the door, capture the uproot to this nut, which I got in one try, which I was feeling pretty happy about, and then dove down to the pipe. It was around this point I realized I recognized the music for this level, but not from this game. Apparently a lot of people must be using this in like YouTube videos or something, because I absolutely know this tune. But then I grabbed Flooded Pipe Moon 1, Flooded Pipe Moon 2, which was all pretty easy. If you're going as slow as I am, the water just does most of the work for you. Once I got out of the pipe, I jumped up this way. I don't think I did this jump right, but I got where I need to go. Capture this uproot, head through the uproot maze to bust my third nut. I got briefly confused because I actually wasn't sure where I was supposed to go next. I think I was supposed to leave the maze through the start and then do a long jump skip over this gap, but I ended up just completing the maze normally. Whatever. I grabbed this checkpoint and threw Cappy at this piranha plant, at which point I learned that the piranha plant will eat Cappy, which I did not know. But then I jumped on the piranha plant to free Cappy, ran around the reach around moon after busting another nut, then grabbed the piranha. I noped out a flower skip where you do a long jump nonsense over this platform and just took the flower bridge. Then I spent several minutes forgetting how to use any of Mario's movement tech for some reason. Eventually I just took the normal route and grabbed another moon. I head into the tower after a flawless jump and grab an uproot, got the first tower moon, and then a flawless skip up to the moon at the top. I was pretty happy about getting that first try, and through the door. I struggled to movement skip to the boss rather than taking the stairs, even though obviously the stairs at this point would be way faster than doing this, but that's what this is about, I guess. Struggle with this fight because I don't understand my own notes, but I get the hang of it pretty quickly. This is a pretty easy boss. I grab the coins before grabbing the moons because I'm gonna need the help affording the second capitalism moon that I'll be buying later. And that's Wooded Kingdom. Another one down, and this one in a more reasonable time. Next kingdom on the list is Cloud Kingdom. So there's apparently a skip here where you can long jump, Cappy jump, and then throw Cappy at this last hat to activate just the last platform. And trying to do that skip killed me a bunch of times, and I just ended up giving up. Then the Bowser fight. The big strat for this fight is to throw Cappy into Bowser's hat to flip it over so you can grab it, but rather than grabbing it immediately, you throw Cappy next to it, hold the button, run up just a little bit on this slope, and then motion control so Cappy grabs the hat, pulls it to you, and then you can run up and punch Bowser without him jumping around like an idiot. If you do it too early, you won't be able to punch Bowser in time and he'll jump getting these rings of fire. If you do it too late, Bowser will just grab the hat so you can't use it. I managed to exclusively grab it too early and too late in this fight. Spoiler, I will never succeed at this trick in this fight or in the later Bowser fight before the end of the game. But other than that, the fight's pretty basic and Cloud Kingdom gets completed pretty easily. Alright, and then with story stuff happening, we end up in Lost Kingdom for some reason. I don't know. I'm skipping the story and it's in Chinese. But the first skip in this area is called Tree Skip. So basically you can climb up this tree, do something to get over to that other edge in one sequence of jumps. Now, I tried this for a bit. My understanding in the skip is actually pretty hard, but it is included in like a beginner's guide to speedrunning Super Mario Odyssey, so I did try it for a while, and honestly, I never even came close. So instead I took the backup strat, which you run over here, jump on this, and then just circle around, and then you just cap jump over. I don't know how I managed to not get over to that edge. That's fine. But with that additional death, I have to redo the backup strat, get up here. I grabbed a moon from some butterflies, grabbed another moon from a single larger butterfly, and then down to this spinner moon. Then over to this spinner moon, which you have to ground pound to make reveal. Then I die in poison because I once again forget how to do inputs and realize I didn't have a checkpoint over there. So I have to do the backup strat again, which I mess up, and the stupid bird takes Cappy, which means I have to run through the level the normal way, which I do not know how. I tried dying in the hopes it brings Cappy back somehow, but it doesn't. Fortunately, the normal route is pretty easy, actually. Imagine, playing the game normally is easier than speedrunning. And this does conveniently bring me back to where I wanted to go, though I did fit in a quick, stupid death. But I managed to get back up to the tree I failed at earlier in one try. Grabbed the moon under the stairs, I gave this stupid hat to this bug, which breaks a box, dropped down to get the moon over here, then jumped back up and got the moon that the bug revealed by breaking the box with Cappy. What? Whatever. I get confused and kind of lost, but then remember I'm supposed to ground pound this pillar to grab the moon in the cage, and then I do this long jump where you long jump under this bridge to grab the moon and then die, because it doesn't matter at that point. You have all the moons you need. Took a few tries, but I do get it, and that wraps up Lost Kingdom. Another world down. Alright, and now we find ourselves in Metro, but at night. So I tried to cross the girders and die immediately, like an idiot. Then I grab this wire and it's time for awning skip, where I once again struggled a lot with getting the spacing right for a triple jump. Fortunately, the skip doesn't actually take that long to do, which I kind of wasn't expecting. From the top of the roof, I hop over to some girders, do some wall jumps to grab the first moon because I did the original jump wrong, so I landed down here instead of here. Then I kind of got really confused about how to proceed. I read my notes on how to get from this girder up onto the roof, and they were not great. So I ended up honking into the wall, falling into the ocean, and died. This means I had to redo awning skip, which I managed in 2 tries on the second attempt. Good for me. But all that meant is I could jump back down to these girders, which took a while to figure it out. Even watching back the footage, I'm not actually sure what the intended strat is, but eventually I do get up onto the roof, and that's all I care about. After getting up onto the roof, I did a long jump across the gap, wired up to the checkpoint and into the tower, which is rough. There's a number of skips here, but the only one that's actually difficult is the last one. Once you get up to this very top platform, you need to basically jump towards camera all the way across the building to this other platform on the other side. But the camera actively hates you because it's rotating around, so your directional inputs are different for every step. Needless to say, it took some tries. If I'm being honest, most of my failures weren't even related to the camera. I just kept hitting the wrong buttons. Once I finally did remember how to do the inputs, I actually got across it reasonably easy. Then we get to another boss, Mecha Wiggler. So the recommendation I've heard is to use motion controls to aim more precisely, which is probably true. So I turned them on, but also not great at motion controls. I'm also really bad at managing my fire rate, which causes the tank to overheat because there were frequently 3 or more bullets in the air at one time. Honestly, other than that, the fight was pretty easy. Just run around and dodge. There's probably a faster way to do this, but it worked. And with Mecha Wiggler defeated, I make my way into Day Metro. Run to a nearby girder to grab the first moon, wire down, and mind control an innocent bystander, drive a nice C-car, which has the worst control scheme I have ever tried to use. Seriously, the map's left and right to the R stick and forward and back to the left stick. Anyway, then I get lost because my notes say look for an awning in a city full of awnings. Jump up, grab the moon, grab this moon by comforting a sad man whose problems I don't understand, eat myself over to some crates to grab another moon, grab a moon and some girders, get confused by the map screen because it wasn't letting me warp, but then just realized the moon message was still up. Then I warped to the wrong checkpoint because the right checkpoint was hidden by my cursor. Cap jump over to the dumpster in 2 tries, which I take as a win, then dive to the next moon, missed it, warped back up, dived again, grabbed the moon, forgot where I was supposed to go, read the word wire, and realized I was supposed to use this wire, missed the pool moon, so I have to bounce on the parasol, which gave me some trauma flashbacks, I'm not gonna lie. But it does mean I see the stack of coins, which I picked up because I know I'm gonna need some cash for the moon I need to buy later. Ground pound to the wrong place, ground pound to the right place, wrap around the building to the right, even though my notes say left, because past me didn't know directions either. I guess more past me didn't know directions either. Whatever. Rush through the crowd, get in another fight with an awning. Pretty sure I found every way to move in this space that doesn't get the moon before I finally got the moon. But I ran out, talked to Pauline, chatted with the drummer, left City Hall before heading over to curb stomp the corpse of Mecha Wiggler, then talked to the guitarist for another moon. It's at this point I had a little bit of a panic because I didn't have enough moons. I was missing a moon and I honestly wasn't sure why. I did watch the videos back, and apparently after I took the wire up to this roof, I was supposed to climb up this pole to get the moon at the top, but I straight up didn't write anything about it. It's not on my splits, and it's not on my notes. Fortunately, Pauline's whole quest, I think, is to get 3 musicians for her band, if I'm remembering the trailer from like 6 years ago. And the last person is marked on the map, and talking to him gave me another moon. So that was convenient. So then from there I warped back to the Odyssey, and that's another kingdom done. And next kingdom on the docket was Snow Kingdom. I immediately seek out Toad, who's hidden behind a false wall, but I couldn't find him. My notes basically just said roll down the hill and over some water, which was not helpful in a map that is all hills and all water. It was at this point I looked at the HUD and realized, oh, this game has a compass. Sure would have been nice if I'd noticed that while taking notes so I could say which direction to go, but I didn't. So I kind of just wandered around for a while until eventually I found the fake ball and found the toad. Then I head back to this deep snow and dove down to the Round People town? I don't know what this place is called. Whatever. I jump back, break more boxes than I meant to. I've forgotten what the skip is to get this moon, so I kinda do it normal. Then I run back down and run into the shop to grab the second capitalism moon. And I know you can't see this because of the live split, but I had exactly 100 coins when I walked into this shop. So I was able to buy the last capitalism moon without needing to get any additional coins, which was great because I don't know where I would have got them because I barely know how this game works. Now I need to hop up on this bridge, which can be kind of a tricky jump, and past me must have been getting kind of lazy when he was taking notes. The notes here basically just said, do it, which was not helpful, but I actually do it pretty quickly and grab the next moon. Huh. Apparently past me was correct to believe in me. Weird. Next I roll down the bridge and into the deep snow to get another moon. I headed past the Windy Boys to the barrier and ground pound to get another moon, though only after trying and failing to remember any of the speed strats in this room. Next, grab a big boy, murder these spikes, grab another moon. Then in the next room, I grabbed some Goombas, step on the switch, grab the moon. Then I forgot how you're actually supposed to do the skip here, and I fell to my death a couple times. But eventually I just took kind of a longer route and grabbed the last moon. I ran through some snow, got confused, went too high, fell to where the moon was, and then took a second to figure out what I was supposed to have done. But whatever. World over, and that's one more down the drain. I will say though, despite the rough start, I was feeling pretty good at this point. I'd gotten a pretty good handle on the mechanics I needed, and even these later worlds were taking way less time than those early ones. And at this point, there were only a couple left, and then this one was in the bag. Speaking of which, the next world is Seaside. Started up Seaside and immediately got confused on where I was supposed to go. Note-taking me really should have looked at the compass when giving directions. I do find a way up and reach the first moon, but I don't think that's the intended strat. Enter the pipe, ground pound a few times to get the moon here, then I do water skip and grab another moon, and then it's immediately out to sea to grab another fish. Into the castle to grab the next moon, which takes a minute because the angry seaweed was blocking my view, and I wasn't actually sure where the moon landed, but once I grabbed it, I was onward to this thin cave for another moon, and then grab another moon right here with the motion controls. Then I got lost looking for my plesiosaur friend to grab another moon that was under them, and then I got really lost looking for some mounds to motion control to reveal another moon. Seriously, I just sort of swam around, not remembering where I was supposed to be. But eventually I found it, grabbed a moon, and hopped out of bounds using out of bounds trick. Grab the out of bounds moon and into this loading zone for the Sphinx back end to grab the last moon of the level. It was back to the Odyssey and we were onward to the next world. Finally, we were on to one of the last worlds, the Luncheon Kingdom, where I almost immediately died to a Goomba trying to platform. After some tight platforming where I needed to triple jump, I finally get it up here and grab the sodium moon. From there, it's back down across some lava, I guess, to get the next moon. Hop up and over the boss arena, which goes well. I've already fought them before, and the fight is quick, and it doesn't really change from the first time you fight them. Hop in this door, grab this moon, got intimidated by my notes, and then immediately do what I needed to, I think. Some platforming in a broken crate later gets me another moon. I struggled to pick up this gold turnip, which the game helpfully explains how to pick it up, but again, I don't read Chinese. But eventually I pick it up, toss it into the pot, and that's another moon. Then jump up to this pillar to get a moon, and then the salt pile moon. It's all going pretty smoothly, actually. I throw my hat around a bit like an idiot trying to capture this fireball, then actually capture the fireball. And then comes Fork Tower, where you basically use these forks to bounce up this pillar, and it goes poorly? It took a while, and I was really bad at it. So, short version, I grabbed both moons and moved on. I didn't really do any of the speedrunning tech because, honestly, I'd been recording for 4 hours and I was tired. That atrocity done, I grabbed the lava bubble, do the harder skip for no reason, hop up on a ledge, then use some cheese to cheese the speedrunning strat, which felt interesting. Grabbed a hammer bro, activate the switch, reveal the moon, light a fire they can't put out, and grab the next moon. After some struggles, I got up on the nearby crystal wall and grabbed my next moon. I became big meat and plopped in some stew, then fail a very basic jump and die because I forgot the long jump controls. Next time goes better and I grab the last moon in Luncheon, and that's another kingdom down. In the next world, I quickly run up to the boss, ground pound to get some hearts that I'll use after taking some intentional damage in this fight. Then I take some unintentional damage, but I got up on the head anyway, which will be a recurring theme in this boss fight as I do the exact same thing again and again. But the fight otherwise goes pretty well and I finish it off, which concludes this very short ruined kingdom. Seriously, why is this its own kingdom? It took like 2 minutes and I did everything wrong. Alright, with ruined out of the way, we're to the last-ish kingdom, Bowser Kingdom. I immediately grabbed this bird over the wall and dropped down to grab a moon that I didn't mean to. This is not part of the routing. Where am I? Then I abandoned the bird more out of habit than anything else and realized I'm kind of stuck over here, so I have to wait for another bird to respawn. But I find my way forward eventually, beat up the stair guy slowly, and grab the first actual moon, wired over to the next section. I'll be honest, this next section was a mess. I grabbed the shards out of order, got confused by my own instructions, and it was just a mess. Ultimately, I got the shard moon, got the keyhole moon, and moved on with my life. Grabbed the moon on the wall just before the wire and got ready for a boss rush. Not a very long boss rush, mind you, but still a boss rush. Nothing exciting here. Harriet's a new boss, but she's not difficult. Just hit her bombs back at her and try and hit her bombs into her when she's in UFO form, which I think I did once in this fight. After Harriet is Topper, who has a new attack that I did bad at, but it's otherwise the same fight. The next parts aren't really interesting. My notes are bad and my progression is very normal. Just use the Pokebirds to launch yourself up until you get to the next phase. Then we have Mech Fight. Oh lord, do we have Mech Fight. I'll be honest, Mech Fight was a disaster. I don't remember any of the helpful skips. My notes were bad. The only thing I managed to do was try to get back on the mech after it throws you off, which I succeeded at least once and then didn't capitalize on. After multiple attempts, I realized I need to concede this fight and just use normal strats for this. Mech Fight is hard. The strats are particular, and if I really wanted to learn them, I'd need to watch a video, practice them, and really grind out this boss. And that's just not what I wanted to do. So I beat the boss normal, called it a loss, and moved on to do the final kingdom, the Moon. So, Moon Kingdom. It's a pretty short kingdom, and there isn't actually that much to talk about. Jump over this gap on the third or fourth try, grab these flowers, rocket over to a gap. Then we reach the only thing that's actually of note here, and that's Moonskip. Moonskip involves bouncing on the Sphinx's head and doing two very specific wall jumps and then diving up to skip a whole area. I honestly don't know how much it skips. I've never played the level properly. This stupid skip took a whole 20 minutes to complete. I even checked online real quick just to make sure Moonskip hadn't been patched or something. It hadn't. But finally, after 20 minutes of attempts, listening to lightly ambient music and a loud bell ringing constantly, I did it. I did Moonskip. I then immediately walked through a door I didn't mean to. I briefly considered fighting her before just deciding I'd die and let it respawn me, which thankfully happened at the door rather than making me redo Moonskip, because I don't think I would have survived that. Anyway, I do the quick jump up here, roll up to the church, through the door, and I started the second fight with Bowser. It's basically the same as the first fight, with some added tail swipes and a breath attack, which I mostly dodged. Honestly, nothing that interesting. It's basically the same as the first fight, and I still failed to do the hat strats that make this faster. With Bowser defeated, though, I run forward and capture him. All that remains is Bowser Rampage. No exciting skips here, just run forward attacking with your claws or motion control breathing fire where applicable. So, before I knew it, I'd reached the final section and grabbed the last capture in the game, this wire. Then took several seconds to realize you need to hold the left stick up, even though every other wire in the game you just move in the direction, but I get it, it's the final capture of the game, they want to make it cinematic. It just means I took 10 seconds capturing this stupid wire and then sitting there like an idiot doing nothing on camera. Then credits play, which I skipped by accident, which is kind of a shame, because I think that would have made pretty good B-roll for the end of this video. But with that, the run was over. I'd successfully speedrun a game I'd never played before. It's definitely an interesting experience. Other than a few specific skips that were especially challenging, the hardest part was just the very beginning. Never playing the game before, I didn't have any context for the controls or how to actually play the game. It meant the early movement, which is just as challenging as the later stuff, really brick-walled me. It's also hard to understand from a video how these mechanics feel to use, but It was pretty satisfying. Nothing like starting out not being able to do a basic cap jump and then brute forcing until you actually learn what you're doing. So, would I recommend you speedrun a game you've never played before? No. This was a stupid idea. Play the games you like and then speedrun any that interest you, if you want, or don't. While I got pretty decent at Mario movement in this game, that means nothing, because I don't want to play this game anymore. Once was more than enough. So in addition to being an experiment to see if I could speedrun a game I'd never played before, it was also kind of an experiment in video making, so I hope it turned out okay. If you like this, go ahead, drop a like, maybe subscribe. While I wouldn't recommend this for anyone else, I honestly had a lot of fun making this. Learning the process, etc., so depending how I feel about the editing, I'll probably make another one or two. So, if you have any suggestions for games to speedrun, drop them in the comments below. Shorter games are better. Turns out an hour speedrun means 5 hours of recording and even longer to edit. But if I see any interesting games with short speedruns, ones that I haven't played before, I'll give it a look. But that's all for me. Hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.